my family has a fun story about adaptability. My grandfather was a magician. None of you have ever heard of him, so don't worry about that. He wasn't famous. But apparently he was pretty good. And he went around the country, putting on shows. According to this story, he was in Des Moines, and he was going to do a show there. And when he got there, he was horrified to find that his crew had neglected to cut the lady in two box and the special saw that goes along with it. And he knew he was expected to perform that one because his posters had a big picture of him doing that, all over town. So he had to think quickly. He had to adapt and comb through his encyclopedic knowledge of magic. And he came up with a way to cut a person in two without all the saws and boxes and potential for bloodshed that the ordinary methods entail. His method is much simpler. It just involves two pieces of rope. And I'd like to try to share that with you tonight. Chris, I see you're volunteering. Thank you for raising your hand. Come on Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you being part of the show. Here's your star next. Oh, boy. I did not think that through. Let's come over here. Randy down here. And Chris. This isn't the first time this has happened. You've been called up to be in a magic show. Yeah. You are going to play a very special role for us, Chris. You are going to be the Saw E. And in case it's not obvious what that means, it soon will be. All right. Now you wait about there and face your adoring public. I'm going to need two other people to help us, who will be Sawers. Let's see. Carly, would you mind helping us out? Come on up here. Give it up for Carly. So we have Gina and Carly, who are going to be the Sawers. And Chris will be the Saw E. Would you stand right here, please? And you two face your adoring public. Take about 6 inches forward. Perfect. Now take your ropes. You're going to hold on to those. Okay. That way a little bit, so you get the right light. Okay, good. Perfect. Now we're all sized up. Your ropes, hold on to the other one. You need one of your ropes, hold on to the other one. We're going to tie these off. This actually doesn't have anything to do with the magic. It's more of an insurance requirement. Now, I've done this many times, and I have found that when people see things they can't understand or make sense of, their minds race to fill in with explanations. Oftentimes, ridiculous explanations. I had a lady come up to me once and she said, "Hey, I know how you did the rope thing." She said, "Obviously, those two people that you called up were part of the act. And at some point you gave them a cue and they flipped the ropes over the guy's head. I mean, we just didn't notice." Okay. That's absurd, and in this case it's impossible given the known laws of physics, right? That's not what's going to happen. But I can't have anyone leaving here thinking it might be what did happen. So I brought along this. Do you have a stool in the back, Chris? That I can... Oh, I can get it. This helps us in a couple of ways. If that were the explanation, then one of two things would have to be true. Either those ropes would bump into the hat and knock it to the floor, and at least one person in here would notice that hat falling to the floor. Or we'd have to swing the ropes out so far to get around the hat that at least one of you, if not the entire room, would notice these big white ropes describing an arc through the sky. So that hat makes it impossible for us to sneak those ropes over Chris's head. Now, I had a lady come up to me once. She said, "I know how to do the rope thing." She said, "Obviously, all those people were part of your show. You paid them each $15 or something. And at some point, you gave them a cue, and the guy in the middle jumped up, and they flipped the ropes under his feet, and we just didn't notice." Again, that's ridiculous. That's not what's going to happen. But I can't have anybody leaving here thinking it might be what did happen. So I brought along this colorful beach towel. Now, Chris, we're going to put this down here. Actually, that looks kind of like a Christmas tree skirt. Anyway, that towel helps us in a similar way. If we were to try to flip those ropes under Chris's feet, obviously they would become entangled in that towel, and at least one of you notice this colorful towel fluttering around on the floor. So we've made it impossible to sneak those ropes under Chris's feet. It's impossible to sneak them over his head. There's only one explanation left. Getting for dinner. Ladies, your job is pretty straightforward at this point. We're going to count to 3 as a group. And when we get to 3, I want you to pull your ropes as hard as you can. You're going to pull them towards you and forward, sort of like you're swinging a T-ball. Okay? You can do that?
Yep.
You might want to hold on to both ropes with both hands. You got that? Good. Excellent. Chris, your job is just to resist the temptation to panic, I think. Are you ready? Yeah. Human bisection with ropes. And count along with me. 1, 2,